Hello again. One of the things which used to be used as something of a catchphrase where immigrants were concerned was when somebody would say something along the lines of, yes, but you wouldn't want to live next door to one, would you? This became a recognised expression which alerted progressive types to the fact that they were in the presence of a knuckle-dragging racist and xenophobe. How could anybody possibly object to living next door to somebody from another country? I mean, honestly, very few people would dare to come out with such a blunt statement these days for fear of being denounced at once as a racist. I mean, why would anybody in this day and age not wish to live next door to somebody from another country? The truth is that we all of us, whatever our national or ethnic origin, have different sets of cultural customs and values. For instance, we know instinctively how close to stand to somebody else when talking to them, how much eye contact to make, how loud we should be speaking, and so on. We know that after a certain time of night we keep our voices down when walking along a street full of houses, about rules for allowing old women on a bus before we board it, and a thousand other little things like that, each of them perhaps trivial in themselves, which make us comfortable when we interact with other people in the community. There is no reason to suppose that our own customs and traditions are any better than those of other nations, of course, but they are what we are used to. If we meet somebody in the street and start chatting, and he stands too close to us or keeps touching us to emphasise points, perhaps holding our arm or something, this can make us feel uneasy. If we hear people shouting and laughing in the street at midnight as we lay in bed, this can be annoying. If we find, say, people disposing of their cigarette ends by throwing them out of the window so they land in our garden, this can cause ill feeling. These are all instances of different cultural habits. So it is that people from certain other countries do tend to shout when they speak and stand uncomfortably close to us when doing so. Those from some European countries do have a habit of throwing cigarette ends out the window. Some people from other cultures don't seem to have the idea of queuing for a bus, but push in front of everybody as though it's a free-for-all. These different customs can range from the mildly annoying to the absolutely infuriating. All these differences, if encountered too frequently, can have a cumulative effect and make people feel that they would prefer to live with and come into contact with those who think and behave as they do themselves, rather than people whose values, way of life and customs are wholly alien to them. This may not be an entirely rational way to feel, but it's common enough, not only in this country, but also in many other parts of the world. I have been prompted to think about this by hearing from a couple of people I know who live in a town in northeast England, which was until a couple of years ago 100% white English, other than a shop run by an Indian guy. Many foreigners of various nationalities have moved or been moved to this town in the last few years, and there is now, by what I can understand, a fair bit of tension in the place, due entirely to the kind of things about which I've been speaking. This is nothing to do with skin colour, by the way, for most of the people who have moved to the town are either European or Middle Eastern, rather than Indian or black. People are complaining about the things which sound trivial, such as cigarette ends being thrown out of windows, and the tendency of some nationalities to speak to each other by shouting rather than talking quietly, even in the street at 1 in the morning. There are certainly those who do not wish to live next door to immigrants, and it was quite nostalgic to hear this expression being used. I used to hear this a lot in the 1960s. It's curious to see it reappearing. I'm not at all sure what we can describe this feeling as. It's not racism, that's for sure, because most of the people that are being talked of here are actually white. I think the majority of them are European. Nor is it xenophobia. It's not a hatred or fear of foreigners. It's more ordinary people just wanting to live with other people that they understand and who share a common values with them. I'm not sure what the expression is to describe this, if not racism or xenophobia. Perhaps people watching this have got some ideas of their own. Whether there's a new expression that could be coined for that feeling.